This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with the GE double oven, and the lower oven will not heat up. It won't heat up on bake, it won't heat up on convection, and it only shows 100 degrees preheat, never goes beyond that. So we're going to remove this bottom panel so we can put a new bake igniter in. So these are 1/4-inch screws. There's two in the back right and back left. We'll remove those, and we can grab the panel and lift it up from the back at 45 degrees, and then we can pull it up out of the front lip and get that panel out of the way. That exposes the Venturi heating tube and also the igniter in the back. And the igniter is held in by two small 1/4-inch screws. So first we're going to put it on bake and press the start button and just look at the igniter to see if it glows at all. Sometimes they will glow and won't light, and sometimes they won't glow at all. Just want to confirm that the igniter is the trouble. So it did not start glowing. So we're going to go to the replacement. Just double checking that I got it set correctly. Set for 300. Yeah, nothing's happening. Just shows 100 degrees preheat, but never goes beyond that. So I will shut that off, cut the power to the unit, and then make sure it's unplugged, or we have the breaker turned off, and then we're going to spin off these two small screws that hold on the igniter. Just using a 1/4-inch driver. Sometimes it's good to apply a little bit of oil to these screws before you remove them. These came off without oil, but sometimes they're corroded. So I'm going to pull on the igniter. They don't give you too much wire to work with. I'm only able to pull it out by about 1 inch. And then I'll use some diagonal pliers to cut those wires from the old igniter. So any kind of wire cutters would work. Pull the old igniter out. And then looking at it, it looks pretty beat up. It looks like it's served its time. And these typically go 8 to 10 years. I think this one, for some reason, only lasted 4 years. So here's a new igniter. Here's the part number. And you can get these online from Amazon or any online store. They're not that expensive. So I need to exchange the metal housing that holds the new igniter. I need to put the new igniter in the old housing. So I'm going to grab the housing, and using finger pressure, you can pull it apart. It's not very strong. And then I can get this ceramic igniter out, and I'll grab the new igniter assembly, and I'll do the same thing. I'll pull the metal apart, and then I can slide out the new igniter, and it'll fit right in the old housing. The housing is just a little bit different. Then I'll squeeze in the metal, and it'll grab the ceramic. Just make sure it's grabbing it pretty tight. Right here. So now we can install the new one. So I have to remove a little bit of the insulation with my wire strippers. About 1/4 inch would be great. And then once you get the insulation off, it's good to turn the wires to the right to get them nice and tight before you do the install. This part's a little tricky. I'm going to strip off the wire on the wires that come out of the oven that supply power to the igniter. I'm going to strip off 1/4 inch. It's just they don't give you that much to work with, so take your time. You can also grab the wire with some needle nose pliers if you're not able to reach it with your fingers. And I'm going to strip off 1/4 inch for each one of those wires. Again, remember, make sure you have the power off or the
new people at your house that aren't used to your plumbing.
So we get both wires done.
Oh yeah.
And then I'll turn those to the right also. I'll get those wires tight. Then I'm going to take the new igniter, and I'll put that wire up against the wire that's coming out of the oven, and I'll turn those to the right so they interlock together. And then I can take the ceramic wire nut that comes with the new igniter. It comes with two ceramic wire nuts, and I can spin that down onto the wire so it makes a really good connection. So here it is. I've got one of them done. I'll do the other side. I'll put those two wires together, and then I'll just turn them to the right to get them tight, and then I'll put the new wire nut on. Just make sure you squeeze those down or turn them to the right, righty-tighty, until they won't go any further, and that's a really good connection. So I'm going to push those wires back into the oven cavity so that I can put the igniter into position and put its mounting screws back in. So this lower oven's a little bit hard to get into. You basically have to put your head and arms inside the oven to do this job. So I have my 1/4 inch driver and holding it with my hand. I'm just going to start these screws. It's a little tricky, just take your time. Make sure you have some pretty good light so you can see what you're doing. Here's the next one. So I put it in the driver, and then just using my hand, I spin it in. And then once you get those finger tight, you can use your driver to get them even tighter. Here's the second screw. Alright, now I use my driver to get them snug. So when this one goes out, you won't have bake and you won't have convection bake. Neither one will work. It'll only show 100, it'll never go above 100 degrees. So we got that in, we're going to test it. So I set it for 300 degrees, press start, and I'm just going to stare at it for a little bit, and it should start to glow, and then it should glow brighter and brighter and brighter. And then eventually it'll let the gas flow in, it'll ignite the gas. So now it's glowing hotter, it's almost white hot, and then it should let the gas flow, and then we should get ignition. There we go. So now we have the flames working. We know the system's working properly. We'll turn it off. Now to reassemble it, we're just going to put this bottom pan and heat deflector back in. So we have the back lifted up at 45 degrees, and we push the lip back into the front first, and then we can lower the back end. Just kind of wiggle things around until the back really drops down as flat as possible. And then just take your time to put these two mounting screws back in the back right and back left corners. So we get those in. Oh, put the racks back in. There we go. Gotta spin it the other way. Slide that one in. We're going to test it again. We'll close it, set the controls. Give it a little bit of time to see if we get the temperature climbing. Alright, so now we know it's working because we're above 100 degrees. Temperature keeps increasing. And open it up and look in there too. And I can see a nice flame, so we're back in business. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.